Barely 1 year into its life cycle, Labyrinth no Kanata, or Beyond the Labyrinth, released for the 3DS. The game was developed by Tri-Ace, the company behind Star Ocean, Valkyrie Profile, and Resonance of Fate. As someone who is a RPG crack fiend, it's only natural that I develop an interest in Beyond the Labyrinth. The unfortunate thing about the game is that it never released outside of Japan. The weird thing is that there looks to have been a potential European release for the game, but that got scrapped. A lack of localization is a tale as old as the video games itself. When people started realizing that Beyond the Labyrinth wasn't coming outside of Japan, a push by Operation Rainfall and Language Automation Inc. was done to get Beyond the Labyrinth and other games published by Sega and Konami brought over stateside. This push failed. That shit didn't work, and Beyond the Labyrinth remains trapped. Or is it? Years later, fans would deliver an English patch to the game, making it now accessible to play. And thanks to Homebrew, it's actually really fucking easy to get the game working on hardware, even though the 3DS isn't, by default, region-free. That shit don't matter. 20 minutes and an SD card later and you can fuck a 3DS's shit up. It's great. And once you have your 3DS modded, it's literally as easy as pointing your 3DS at a QR code. No really, I'm serious. That's all I did. It just downloaded and installed a pre-patched version of the game. It's genuinely amazing. Even though it never got an official release outside Japan, so long as you got a 3DS, you can easily soft mod it and start up a playthrough of Beyond the Labyrinth. Thank you to my supporters. If you like what I do and would like to support it, you can on Patreon. Link on screen and in the description. If you decide to, you'll gain access to bonuses like the recorded entirety of my playthrough of the game left clean and untouched for you to use however you wish, as well as scans of the soundtrack and AR calendar. More on what that even is later. Beyond the Labyrinth opens up looking like a very classic first-person dungeon crawler. The kind of shit you'd see like classic Mega 10 and the like. The character of you is playing a game and other characters join the game and act as your party. These characters are Pokeda, Narikeshi, and Lily, or Prof, Edge, and still Lily respectively in the patch. For some reason there seems to be an issue with the names appearing, I don't fucking know why. It's not the biggest issue really. After some onboarding and tutorializing, you start to hear a voice of a girl. You track it down, and you get taken out of the pixel art and into a fully three-dimensional world, with some girl in front of you. You can hear her, but she can't really hear you. I don't even fucking know what you and your party are to her and what you embody in this world. Either way, as it turns out, she fell into this labyrinth and wants your help to get out. That's the story. Like, actually, there's barely anything else to it, so don't expect anything else narratively out of this game, because you aren't getting it. Moving on. Actually, speaking of moving, that's the first action you take in this new environment, and I've gotta say, you move way too damn slow in this game. It's fucking glacial. Like, you could fucking just take a look at this gameplay of me simply moving, and you can tell that the movement speed is insanely slow. No, there is no run button. There are no speed upgrades. For the next 30 hours, you are trapped at that speed exclusively. It can get genuinely frustrating walking at that pace. I feel like you could cut out a whole 10 hours of playtime if you just sped up the movement speed. After noticing the crawl I moved at and dreading the remaining playtime of the game, I also noticed something else. This game overall looks really fucking good. Like, just look at the model for the girl. Real quick, she doesn't have a name, so I'm just gonna continue calling her that. She looks really high quality, especially for a 3DS game. In fact, the whole game is just pretty to look at. This shit has some strong art direction, which is good because that's the only reason it looks good. It is still a 3DS game in the end. You can't get too complex, which is why the environments and the enemies are kept a lot simpler. The environments, outside of the occasional model detail, is just textures on squares. Not the most complex thing, but those resources can instead be put elsewhere, which it is. The enemies too range from dudes in suit of armor all the way to literal geometric shapes. So even if there are many enemies on screen, chances are the only reason there are that many is because most of them are cubes or cylinders. Speaking of the enemies, fighting them. This game's combat system relies on the rock, paper, scissors system. Rock red, paper blue, and scissors green. Except even though it uses that terminology and iconography, I never internalized it as that and instead thought of it as red beats green beats blue beats red because that color relationship is not exclusive to this game. Because of that, it's just easier to think of it like that. If, say, you use a red attack on a green enemy, you deal more damage. If you use that same red attack on a blue enemy, you deal less damage. And this shit works on a feast or famine principle, as the rules you operate by, the enemies operate under those same rules as well. If they use a blue attack on your red unit, you might be fucked. Best hope, they attack a blue or green unit instead. When a unit's weakness is hit, the amount of damage dealt is then stored, displayed at the top right. The next unit to attack of that corresponding color will then absorb that damage and heal. Again, feast or famine. If you attack an enemy's weakness and they are up next in the attack order, congrats, you did basically nothing. Alternatively, you can use this to heal your party members. Outside of limited use items, this is your only way to heal mid-battle. So all you gotta do is keep track of and exploit the turn order, which operates on an action cost time system. The stronger attack you deal, the more time it costs to use it, sending you further back in line. This is the basics of the combat, which remains at these basics for the first 6 to 7 hours. Here's a fun fact, the beginning of the game is ass. It is way too slow to introduce mechanics that adds depth to the combat, which makes the game not very engaging for way too long. Now, you do unlock more abilities later on, and I will say that when you do, the combat is actually fun. It can get strategic, and it can get challenging, but to ask someone, wait until it gets good 6 to 7 hours in is kind of fucked. Okay, so about an hour and a half in, the girl no longer remains useless, and actually starts to participate in combat. She gains the ability to use magic, but the strength of her infrequent attack is dependent on how you attack. The amount of damage you do will charge up her meter, either additive or multiplicative depending on if the character has a plus or X next to them. This shit can outright kill stronger enemies. You'll sometimes run into the choice of if you should bother attacking an enemy that's just going to heal itself back in order to charge the girl up, or if you should deal permanent damage. Wow, actual thought, for once. Then, 6 to 7 hours in, as I've been alluding to, you gain the ability to defend the girl. This ability actually has some decent depth to it. The foremost thing, enemies will now start targeting the girl more often, so you gotta defend her with at least one unit to make sure she doesn't die. If she is damaged, you can defend with a unit if they have a high percentage of health to heal her. Prior to this, there was no way to heal her, so get fucked if she died prior to this, I guess. And most importantly, you can freeze a party member's position in the timeline. When you defend, they don't move. So if you defend when a unit is at 0 time, then you can reinsert them whenever to either cut off an enemy before they attack or to rearrange the order of when your party attacks. This shit should have been introduced way earlier. This simple action of tapping a character to defend is the core of the depth of this game. This is where most of your decision making is made. This is what makes the game actually engaging. Not gonna lie, I was starting to check out of this game before I got this ability. I legit thought to myself, am I playing this holding out and hoping for it to get better, or am I just playing this because I'm making a video on it? I genuinely didn't know. Now here's the thing, while you do get these abilities, a key one is left out. You can change colors at level up points, typically located at the beginning of an area. You could change colors using limited use items. There's only a set amount of these in the game and there is no shop. But you can't use an action to change a color. I don't like how major mechanics that are tied to the creativity and the fun of the combat system are limited to items. You can leave the items there, that's fine, but at least give me the option to use, I don't know, 50 or 60 time units to change a color. Something, fucking anything. All this does is just restrict the potential of the game. Now, as much as I've been giving this game shit and criticizing its combat, I do need to stress that as you get further, the more fun it gets. It really is. The more complex and challenging an encounter you've got, the better, because that's when the game truly shines. Especially when you've got enemies that play with the mechanics. Like, they'll change colors, or they'll be conjoined enemies of differing colors, or they'll guard when you hit their weakness. Shit like that is fun to play around, and you see that more and more as you get further in the game. Outside of fight, the other most important verb is crawl. This is a dungeon crawler after all, and when you're not in combat, then you're exploring the labyrinth, trying to navigate through and climb up the floors. The labyrinth's areas start off pretty standard. It really feels like that this game is more geared towards beginners to the genre. You ain't getting no strange journeys here. Nah, areas start off pretty linear and kept simple. Some areas introduce some gimmicks, like redirecting lava flow that only shows up on a couple areas and shit like that, but as you get further, there's a lot more verticality. You can see that between areas 2 and 10, there's a lot more elevators asking you to think not just about your X and your Z, but to also consider your Y a lot more. Shout out to my friend Kingo for teaching me how to use Blender to model this shit. It might have been a mistake on his part. At the end of Area 6, you gain the ability to customize the girl. You can change the colors of her outfit and hair to the point that you can even draw your own dress. You can actually get really creative and detailed with the dress. There's a lot of pre-made outfits you can choose from in the game, but as it turns out, there's another 12 you can get. Later, at the end of Area 8, you gain access to the AR implementation in this game. It's fucking stupid that you can only access it here. There's nowhere else in the game you can use this. Only here. Fuck that. But if you get to that room and scan the AR calendar cards, you get a small animation to play out, and you unlock a new outfit for each month. What even is the AR calendar? When this game came out, alongside it released a 2012 calendar. This is a series of 12 cards, each with art and the month on the front, and on the flip side you got something to scan. I ended up playing the rest of the game using the September outfit because it looked cute. And if you would like to get these outfits for yourself in your own game and would like to look at the rest of the cards, don't forget that I do have scans of the AR cards on my Patreon. I want to get this across. I like this game. I have many problems with it, problems that could be a deal breaker for many other people. It almost was a deal breaker with me, and I was thinking of dropping the game right before I got to the point I got the ability to block. But I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. After that point, I started looking forward to playing this game and enjoyed my time with it. As much as I would like to recommend this game if you have a 3DS, it wouldn't be right to just blindly recommend it, especially with all the criticisms I do have against it. Especially when there's a bunch of other first-person dungeon crawlers that are fantastic through and through. Beyond the Labyrinth is a slow burn of a game, but if you can get past the beginning of it, then there's only up from there.